welcome back to my channel. So getting straight to the story, चिट चैट नहीं करते क्योंकि अगर मैंने स्टार्ट किया बात करना तो चलता ही रहेगा. Getting straight to the story. The story that I have for you guys today, it's called The Dark Room by R K Narayan. So R K Narayan ji needs no introduction. He is one of the most prominent writers of India, and I'm sure you guys must have read some of his stories. So the novel is set in India in the 1930s, and it is from a fictitious city of Malgudi. The novel explores the conditions of women back in time when patriarchy was at its peak and how it shot arrows into a woman's life. The story has a traditional Indian setup showcasing the societal norms where domestic violence, chauvinism, and misogyny was highly justified. So the story starts with the introduction of Savitri, who is the main character of the story. So Savitri is described as this super submissive woman, and she justifies. No, she fits in the characters of the three S's. If you guys are familiar with Sundar, Sanskari, and Sushil. So like how we are, all of the women are supposed to behave. You should be Sundar, Sushil, and Sanskari. So she was exactly that. So she was married to this man named Ramani, and Ramani worked for an insurance company. So the characters of Ramani and Savitri was really contrasting. That's why they got married, I guess. But Ramani was this really cruel character. We'll get to know more about this. But he was always irritated and he really thought highly of himself, hence, he was really egoistic. Also, to put the cherry on top, he really had a bad temper. So, like all of the bad combination characters of bad combination was in him. So, because of these characteristics of Ramani, the atmosphere of the house was really grumpy and like एक काला बादल मंडराता था उनके घर के ऊपर हमेशा. They also had three children, two daughters named Kamla and Sumati, and one younger son named Babu. They were also really terrified of their father. इतना उन लोगों को डर लगता था that they wished their father stayed in the office only. So the kind of relationship that Ramani had with his wife Savitri was really terrible and toxic. He used to mentally, physically, and emotionally abuse his wife, and due to this, the atmosphere of the house also used to be really intense, and all of the three children used to sympathize with their mother. So the kind of relationship that Ramani had with the daughters were really different to the kind of relationship he had with his son. With the daughters, he was quite normal and comparatively less strict than he was with his son. With his son, he treated his son really strictly, and he ensured that his son grew up to be a man who was devoid of emotions. Babu, the younger son, was not allowed to hang out with the sisters, allowed to act like a girl, to have any a little bit of femininity. He wasn't allowed to have that. He wasn't allowed to be around. He wasn't allowed to be around dolls. Coming to Savitri, Savitri had a sensitive temperament. She devoted herself completely to taking care of the household, the husband, and the children. Yet she still had her own desires that remained unfulfilled. She yearned for the husband's love, but she never seemed to get it. She never seemed to get a smile back also from him. Also, the daughters were love starved. By love starved, I mean that they had like a normal relationship with the father, but like the loving, caring, bad ke baat karna and all, they never used to have with the father. That was something that was missing and like made the house really more intense, and they used to feel like a cage living in the house. So Savitri was also really self-critical. Whenever the children made a mistake, the husband made a mistake, she used to take it all on herself कि मेरी गलती हुई होगी कि मेरा पति ऐसा किया या मेरे बच्चे से गलती हो गई. She was really self-critical. She used to take everything on herself. Hence, we can assume that she had a really bad mental health, and hence the name of the story, dark room. So there was also this dark room in the house where Savitri used to go whenever she used to feel overwhelmed, or like not exactly overwhelmed, when she was not able to express herself completely, whenever Ramani rebuked or scolded her for something, or like if the children made a mistake and the father scolded the children, she used to take it all on herself, and then she used to go and settle in that house, in that room, in the dark room, which was dark as the name suggests, but it was like a representation of her mindset that she had. It was all dark. It had no perspective, no future, no say in anything. The dark room was really like a representation of her mindset and what she thought about herself. Okay, so now comes the twist in the tale, the introduction of a new character, a new female character to be precise. So there's this character named Shantabai, and she was this really ambitious woman who she had a husband, but I don't know, maybe they got divorced or something like that, and she wanted to get a job in the company where Ramani was working. So these are not my opinions, but this is what is depicted in the story. A woman being ambitious is considered to be someone with a loose character who flirts around with men, who is like not capable of raising children or being a wife. You know, really terrible things. So these are not my opinions. These are not R K Narayan ji's opinion. These are just a representation of the kind of society we had. So she kind of lured Ramani to get into the same company that he used to work in. So she got the job. She had like a really great personality, and because of that, Ramani started having an illicit relationship with this particular woman. So all he used to then from then on he used to spend most of his time with Shantabai, this woman that worked in the same company, and Ramani used to feel really great in her presence. Obviously, this is like a common human trait. Whenever you find someone who is more ambitious to you or like intellectually ahead of you, you are bound to get attracted to the person. So that might have happened to Ramani. I wouldn't say that he was in love with Shantabai, but he was definitely infatuated by her. So that's how their illicit relationship started. And Ramani used to go home late, spend more time with Shantabai, used to take her out on dinners, and really pamper her, and did all the things that Savitri wished he did for her. So there was this woman named Gangu who was Savitri's mate, and they used to hang out, chill together, whenever the kids were off to school and the husbands were off to their work. So they used to chill together. So Gangu was this really talkative woman, and baat mein she spilled the tea that once she had gone for the movies and she had seen Ramani with some other woman. So Savitri's reaction was really weird. She was very normal about this. She did not express her discontent in front of Gangu, but Maniman, she was really udas. And the kind of person she was, she really again took it on herself. She was really self-critical, and she started wallowing in this self-pity, in this circle of self-pity again. And then again, she found herself in the dark room, and she thought about it, and then she took it all on herself that maybe she wasn't able to have the same charm that the husband was earlier attracted to. She had lost her charm. That's why the husband had to go outside to, get the same kind of feeling. And that's really terrible to feel that, being so self-critical and अपने खुद में खामी निकालना is something that really shatters your self-confidence, shatters your whole being. That is something that people shouldn't do. So after Savitri gets to know about this woman, she tries really hard to get back her husband's attention. So to do that, one day she got ready just the way she used to when she got newly married. And what Ramani did was really terrible. He ridiculed her, and then he went back to Shantabai. That again shattered Savitri a lot. So the next day, Ramani comes back. They get into a really fierce fight where Savitri loses her calm, and all of the repressed anger that she had was like set free, and she just blared out things. And in that rage, she threw the Mangalsutra on him and said that she obviously she believed that all of the property, all of the kids, and all the wealth that they had did not belong to her. She said that didn't need all of these things, and all of the rage that she had been growing inside of her since 15 years of the marriage, they all came out that day. And Ramani was quite surprised by this, but he was quite stern with his looks, and he had this stern look on his face that कर ले तुझे जितना जो करना है लौट के तो तुझे मेरे पास ही आना है, kind of that attitude. But Savitri was really broken by then, and she just walks out of the house without thinking twice. She just walks out of the house, throwing everything, leaving all the jewelry that she was wearing, because she thought that जो भी है सब उसके पति का है. So she does not have any right to the things that were given, that were bought by Ramani. And that it came a lot to the self-respect point of view, and she just left the house and walked off. So, in the midst of anger, she has got out of the house, but she had nowhere to go. She felt helpless, as she cannot go back to her parents' house or her brother's house, because back then it was like a big taboo for a woman to be returning back to her house without the husband and children. So, bringing a lot of shame to the family. Really weird. Also, she can't fend for herself, and then she thinks about her daughters. This is really beautiful. She thinks about her daughters, that she didn't wanted her daughters to be in this particular situation that she is right now, and she wishes that the daughters also, and she wishes that the daughters complete their studies and grow up to be really independent women, and they shouldn't be dependent on any other man, like how, and be in a situation similar to what she is going through. So, as Savitri was reminiscing all of the things that she said before leaving home, she was walking along the bank of a river, where she sat down and she started praying to God to keep her children safe. And then the last sensation that she felt was a sharp sting as the water shot up her nostrils, and something took hold of her feet and toppled her over. So here comes the introduction of another character of the story named Mari. Mari was a burglar, part-time burglar, and part-time he used to repair umbrellas and repair shoes and things like that, like a multitasker he was. And he was walking along the river bank of the same city, but a different part of the city. And she found Savitri floating in the water, and she was unconscious, of course. And he took her home. There, he had a wife named Bonnie. Bonnie and Mari had this really cool relationship. I really like the relationship. So Mari was very much in love with his wife, and Bonnie was this really dominating character. And Mari did everything to please the wife. He used to make sure that he earned enough money for the day so that he could make the wife happy, and he really cared for the wife and really looked for the and he really looked over the needs of a wife, and he was like spooky in nature. This character named Mari, he was really cute. So Mari took Savitri home, and Pony was there, and Mari told the whole story how he got Savitri near the river bank and brought her home. जब सावित्री को होश आया, when she got back to her senses, they were really nice to Savitri, but Savitri acted quite rude. So, in this part of the story, there is a hint of casteism that was really prevalent back then. It still is, but it was really at its peak back many years back. So, because I guess Mari and Pony was belonged to some lower caste according to the caste system, uh, and Savitri being from an upper caste was really pissed seeing herself at someone's house who belonged to the lower caste. But they were super chill, very nice to her, treated her very nicely, but offered her food and stuff. But Savitri denied all of it. She was quite rude to them in the beginning. Back in the house, back in Ramani's house, Ramani felt a bit astonished as Savitri left, but he acted very normal, and he told the kids that the mother has left for Talapur, must be Savitri's home, as someone was really sick there. And he tried really hard to act like everything is fine and he can do everything on his own, like he had no other option. He had to, like, to satisfy his ego, he had to act like there was nothing wrong with it, and uski wife की गलती थी कि वो चली गई, तो he was quite normal. He tried really hard to make the children, ताकि उन लोगों को मम्मी की कमी महसूस ना हो. So he tried really hard to make it all seem like it's very normal and there's nothing wrong with it. They do not have a fight or anything like that. So coming back to where Savitri was, firstly though she was rude with them, with Mari and Pony, but later she kind of settled there by the end of the day, and but she was quite adamant to. She told them that she would receive no charity or sympathy from them. She didn't need it any charity. She would only eat food when she earned it. So she asked Mari to look for a job for her so that she can fend for her own self. Mari also found a job for Savitri, where a job at a temple where she had to clean the temple, and she was given a small room with old broken furniture, and she would be given some rice and a quarter of an anna per day. Quarter of an anna per day. Okay. Anna. आना होता है हिंदी में. So Savitri was kind of having a great time there. It wasn't that luxurious, but there was still a feeling of being at peace, and it was simple, yet she felt really, she had that sense of freedom with her that she lacked when she was living with the in the husband's house. She did miss her children and the past life, but slowly people in that village, in that particular village where Mari, Poni, and Savitri was that time, they got to know about this really mysterious woman who has come from somewhere to this village, and people were really mesmerized and like surprised and wanted to go and see who this woman was, and so then a lot of people started gathering in the temple just to see who this woman was. So in general, Savitri was really beautiful. Although the husband was unable to appreciate the beauty of the wife, Savitri was really pretty. And there was this another terrible thing that's written in the novel, that the people who came to visit the temple, they complained that because of the presence of Savitri, they were getting tempted, and it wasn't very good for them to go to a temple and be tempted by a woman being there. Like, they put it all on Savitri, that she was, just her presence was really acting like a temptation to them. How terrible is that? It's just, you know what the problem is, you know who the problem is. It wasn't Savitri for sure. So Savitri, there were a lot of problems that she started facing in back in the temple. The head priest who appointed her initially also started acting really rude to her because of all of these complaints that he was getting. And Savitri also got homesick, and one after 3 days, I guess, she asked the priest that she wanted to go back to her house, and she then went back to Pawnee and Mari's house, and she told Pawnee and Mari that she wanted to go back to her own house, and they were really happy for her, that she they were really supportive, and they were really nice people, Pawnee and Mari. So they got her a bullock cart that would reach Savitri to that part of the city where she lived. So it was like late evening when she returned back home, and the children were really happy to see the mother back home. And although Savitri was happy to see the children as well, but she was quite terrified of the husband. What would he say? How would he react when he would be back home? So when the husband came back, I read, an hour later, Ramani came towards her. She started up. He threw a brief look at her, noted her ragged appearance, and went into the dining room. He said to the cook, "Hurry up, I have to be at office." Savitri stood in the passage for some time. He started to eat. She stepped into the dining room and stood before him, watching his leaf. She noticed a space in the corner of the leaf. "Shall I call for some beans?" "No," Ramani said, without looking up. "Curd?" Savitri asked. "Yes." Savitri went towards the cupboard and took hold of the curd vessel. At about 8:30 in the evening, the children had finished the dinner and were sitting around Savitri, ceaselessly talking, asking questions, or, like meeting the mother after so long, they must have had a lot of questions. So Ramani had come back from the office and he looked quite in a good mood. Ramani paused on the doormat and threw a genial look around. "How are we all today?" he asked, and the children made some indistinct sounds in reply. "What does your mother say?" he asked, and the children giggled. He went in to change. Later he asked, "Children, finished their dinner?" "Yes," said Savitri. "Haven't you finished yours?" "No." "Waiting for me?" he asked. "Yes," she said. "What a dutiful wife you are," he remarked, and laughed. He was granting her the privilege to laugh and joke and be happy. "Oh, I should have bought some jasmine for you," he said, looking at her mischievously. She tried to smile. He watched her for a moment while she was eating. "Oh, how poorly you eat!" he exclaimed. "Have a little more ghee. Eat well, my girl, and grow fat." "Don't fear that you will make me bankrupt by eating," he said. She attempted to laugh and muttered through it, "If I grow too fat, people may not recognize me." She knew it was a miserable joke. "A part of me is dead," she reflected. He said, "I came home early entirely for your sake, and now you won't talk to me properly? What is the matter with you?" "I don't know. I'm all right. I'm tired and want to sleep." He pleaded with her later. "Just a pretty half an hour. You can go to bed at 10:30. Just a little talk. I came home early for your sake." Audacity. "I can't even stand. I'm very tired. I must sleep." "Please yourself," he said, and went away to his room. So, what we derive from this short conversation that Savitri had with Ramani was that although she had returned back home being homesick and for the sake of the children, there is something that has changed about her perspective, about how she wanted to be treated now. The little thing that she said, that Ramani wanted to have a conversation with her, but she said that she was tired and she wanted to sleep. This may seem really casual, really normal, but for Savitri to have her own say, to do, to do whatever she wanted to do, was like a really big thing, and she stood for herself. She said that she didn't want to have a conversation at that time, and Ramani also had to, make peace with the fact that they won't have a conversation now. It was also like a sign that from now onwards, Savitri would be the one who would take her own decisions, even if it was as feeble as a thing to, like, whether she wants to sleep or not, or talk to the husband. So towards the end of the story, what happens is Savitri was just at her home normally, and she hears the voice of Mari coming from the lane. Mari had come to that part of the city, to he was a vendor. He used to go house to house, repairing shoes and umbrellas. So she heard Mari's voice, and she had this sudden urge to go to him and, call him inside the house and offer him hospitality, like meeting an old friend kind of vibe. So just then a thought struck her that this is not her house. This is not, she does not have the right to call a person, to a friend of hers, to the house, because the house didn't belong to her. This was like a really humbling thought that she had, and she let Mari go and she did not call him. And that's how the story ends. So there are a few points that I would like to discuss. Firstly, the way R K Narayan ji has showed empowerment through defiance. Defiance means the act of denying something. The way he had showed how you can deny something, it's also a right. You have a right to deny things. It might seem really normal to us, to the women of this generation, like the women around us. It's easy to say no. It's not easy for all of the women around, but back in time, it was really tough for women to say no. Second point is how submissive Savitri, we can give her the nickname Submissive Savitri. But later on, she stands up for the self, and that's really commendable. How she stands up for the unfaithfulness of the husband. How she made it a point to say that this will not be allowed in the house. She would not let this happen in front of her, and she was not able to, stop it. But the most she could do was to step out of the house. And I love how Arkana Ryan ji has described this whole journey of Savitri, where earlier she used to have a lot of inner struggle, and later on she discovers her self-worth, where when she starts living in the temple and she understands that there is a life beyond taking care of the children and the husband. She can fend for herself if she wants to. With this, we come to the end of this video. Please let me know if you guys like this video, and please like and share if you really liked it. Makes me sound like a like digger, but if you like this video, please share it with your friends, and I'll be back again with another video. Till then, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye bye.